there is a time machine in Brompton Cemetery in London. It was designed by a Victorian inventor who blew up ships with invisible bombs. The time machine may or may not be real. The ships he blew up definitely were. I'm Hugh, and in the next few minutes I'm going to tell you all about Captain Samuel Alfred Warner, his long-range and invisible weapons, and the mystery of the Brompton Cemetery time machine. Way back in the 1840s, Captain Warner claimed to have invented two futuristic weapons, a long-range weapon that could drop bombs from the sky, and an invisible shell which was a sort of torpedo that could blow up ships in some mysterious and unexplained way. He made a spectacular demonstration of this extraordinary weapon off the coast of the seaside resort of Brighton in the summer of 1844, when he blew up a three-masted 300-ton sailing ship, an event that was witnessed by 30,000 to 40,000 people and was reported extensively in the newspapers. The Illustrated London News said that it was a work of destruction so sudden, so frightful, so stupendous, that it appeared to be impossible. Captain Warner wanted the British government to stamp up £2,000 for the secret of his invisible weapon. The government refused. Warner then set up a demonstration of his other weapon, the mechanism of which was also a secret, but seemed to involve some kind of automated bomb-dropping machine in a hot air balloon. He wanted another £2,000 for the secret to that one, and once again the government declined to pay up. £2,000 in the 1840s was a huge amount of money, equivalent to about £3 million today, so to reveal the secrets of his two weapons, he wanted the equivalent of around £6 million, which would have been a bargain if they were as good as Captain Warner claimed they were. His weapons were debated many times in Parliament, but the government could never be convinced that Warner wasn't trying to trick them out of the money. But what about the time machine in Brompton Cemetery? The story goes that a certain Hannah Courtoy, a wealthy London woman who was fascinated by Egyptology, hatched a plan to avoid death by being transported into the future. She contacted one of the leading Egyptologists of the day, Joseph Bonomi, to build a mausoleum in Brompton Cemetery that would house a time machine. In one version of the story, Bonomi is supposed to have discovered the ancient mysteries of time travel by studying hieroglyphs on one of his Egyptian expeditions. But to get a working time machine constructed, Bonomi needed to work in cahoots with an inventor. Yes, and that of course is where Captain Warner enters the picture. The deal was that Bonomi would design an Egyptian-style mausoleum decorated with mystical symbols and hieroglyphs, and Captain Warner, meanwhile, would provide the time machine inside the mausoleum. This is a widely repeated story, but none of it dates back to the 19th century. As far as I'm aware, there never was any mention of a Brompton Cemetery time machine during Warner's lifetime, which is not to say that the mausoleum does not exist. It does. This is it. And it was indeed built for Hannah Courtoy, who died in 1849. It's also likely, though not certain, that it was designed in whole or in part by Joseph Bonomi in the Egyptian style. Construction of the mausoleum was completed in 1854, 5 years after its occupant died. When Bonomi died in 1878, he was also buried in Brompton Cemetery. So why doesn't someone just go into the mausoleum and see what's there? Well, apparently the key went missing about 150 years or so ago. Shortly after the completion of the tomb, Captain Warner died, and he too was buried in Brompton Cemetery, not far from his supposed time machine, or possibly not. In some versions of the legend, Warner went into the time machine and projected himself into the future. The whole mythology surrounding the so-called Brompton Cemetery time machine was concocted in the late 20th century. The main source seems to be this article from the Daily News in 1998. In which the writer Helen Smith quotes another writer, Howard Webster, who had been researching Captain Warner's history and he believed that Warner had been killed in order to prevent the plans for his weapons from falling into enemy hands. When he visited Brompton Cemetery, Howard Webster noticed that Bonomi's tombstone featured a carving of Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead, facing directly towards Hannah Courtoy's mausoleum and sitting on top of what looked like a picture of the mausoleum. From these few scraps and hints, the legend of the Brompton Cemetery time machine has blossomed and grown. So Captain Warner's time machine may be no more than an urban legend that got out of control, but he definitely did blow up ships and drop bombs from a hot air balloon, which probably makes him, at the very least, the perfect example of a Victorian mad inventor. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be back with some even more bonkers stuff soon.